Hello everybody, Drywall Repairman here. We're just doing a simple video on sand skip trowel. I also have a playlist of type of textures and I have other videos on this type of texture. It's an interesting texture. I have it on my patios at my house. It's not a common texture, but it is around. Maybe you're trying to do a project and you want to try to change it up, customize something. You can add sand to your texture. The muds we always use the thinned down all-purpose joint compound. It's the consistency of a heavy pancake batter, real creamy, perfect mixed mud. And that's pretty much the consistency of most of the textures, hand textures and spray textures. But with this sand skip trowel, we're actually adding sand into the mud to give it the gritty feel. And once the joint compound muds dry overnight, the silica sand will show more. And then once it shows, it almost looks like a stucco cement texture. On this job, it calls for silica sand, so that's what I'm going to use. There's so many sands out there to use. I've tried them all, but silica sand is your go-to. Small job like this, instead of mixing a whole bucket of mud, I'm just going to use a pan. I just use what I need. I scoop it out, regular joint compound, and put it in my pan, and I'm going to add about a cup or so of silica sand. If you're doing a bigger project, then you're going to want to mix a half a bucket or a full bucket of your silica sand in your mud, and you're just going to add a cup or two at a time and mix it until you get the consistency of sand that you want. Sometimes you want a real busy, gritty looking texture, then you're going to add a lot of sand. If you just want a little bit of sand look, then just a little bit of sand. Sometimes you're going to have to experiment. But silica sand is your go-to. There's playground sand, there's stucco sands. All these other sands that you see at the stores, they're dirty. There's dirt in them, grits. They're not uniform. We use silica sand as a nice strained sand. It's not a dirty sand, so it mixes well and it skip trowels well. But I'm just mixing it in my pan with a 6-inch knife, just stirring it around, make sure I get it nice and mixed in. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's always better to add a little bit, and then if you need to, add more, because you can't thin it down once you add the bunch of sand. I just usually do about a handful per pan. It's pretty much a good ruler there. Consistency, it's always like a heavy pancake batter. Most of our textures are done with the all-purpose joint compounds that are thinned down, mixed very well, creamy, like a thick pancake batter. That's pretty much the consistency of most textures, if not all. Basically, these skip trowels I like to do with a 6-inch knife. If you're doing new sheetrock and you know the ceiling area is flat, you can use a bigger knife. But just stick to your 6-inch knife. If you're trying to match a texture area like I am, you want to go with the same direction pattern as the texture, the existing texture. So you want to look at the existing texture. Also, a tip, you can start on the existing texture and work your way into the new mud work. Starting on the existing texture will kind of give you the texture skip pattern. It's a good start pattern. But it's easy, skip trowel. I'm not pressing hard with the knife. I'm just trying to run it over the knife. Scooping nice even scoops of mud. Some guys even dip the knife in to get the mud on. Basically, this is just a simple skip trowel. It's just adding sand. Gives you a nice gritty looking texture. If you look to the walls on this, it's outside patio, and you can see they have a texture. It's a stucco texture. It almost mimics a stucco finish, but instead of stuccoing your ceiling, you're doing drywall, so they just add this silica sand. It's a nice texture. It just takes a little bit of time. If you're using a bigger knife, you can cover more ground quickly, but since I'm doing a repair work, I like to do a 6-inch knife because you have knife control and you can blend in and match the texture better with a straight 6-inch knife. I'm in no hurry, so we're just going to do a nice perfect skip trowel here. If you're not comfortable with skip troweling or working with knives, always practice on a scrap piece of drywall. Work with your muds and practice until you get perfection before you start any project. You're not going to be a drywall expert just because you watch a couple of these videos and think you can do drywall. There's more to it. Drywall is an art. We're working with muds, texture patterns, matching textures. If you're doing your own room addition or wall, you're doing your own textures, so then it's your texture. But when you're matching textures into existing, it becomes more of an art form to match into the existing work. Basically just skip trowel, you just move along. It doesn't take no time at all. I've tried other textures by adding sand, like a smooth texture or stuff like that. It never comes out correctly. The only type of texture that I found that works with this silica sand is the skip trowel. I'm sure you can put sand in a spray splatter and spray it on your walls. You might get a heavy sandy look texture. It'll almost be like sandpaper walls. But you're going to have to practice. Skip trowel seems to be the best looking texture with the sand finish. If you look to the stucco, to the walls, you can see it's almost like a stucco finish. That's why we do it like this. Nice and easy, take your time. Once you learn how to skip trowel, it's really easy. And then just adding sand is just another trick of the trade. We're just adding silica sand, nothing special here. When I get silica sand, I have to buy big bags of it. I've never found little bags of silica sand. So I buy a big bag, I put it in these jars, and I keep it forever. Instead of trucking around 20-30 pounds of sand in my work truck, I just keep it in a little jar. And a little jar is more than enough to do a job this size. And then after I'm done with this job, I'll go home and I'll refill my jar, and hopefully I don't have to do another skip trowel for a while. I do a lot of jobs per week. I'd say anywhere from 5 to 20 jobs per week, depending on how busy the week is. And I've only come across a sand skip trowel maybe once a month, if that. It's a rare texture, but it is out there. That's why I just keep the jar on hand, because if I needed it and I don't have it, it's really hard to go find it or locate it. I'll have to go to a big box store and hopefully they have it. And then if they do have it, I have to buy a 50 or 80 pound bag. So that's why I just keep a jar in my truck just in case. But maybe you just see this video and you say, hey, I want to try to do a skip trowel sand texture. Go ahead and try it. Just try it on a scrap piece of sheetrock. On this, it's patios. It looks really well on patios. These are just different type of textures. I know different regions, people have different style textures. Most people have smooth type textures. I'm located near Arizona. This is a job in Chandler, Arizona, so very common out here with the skip trowels in these houses that are less than 10, 20 years old. Track homes, they do these skip trowels. They're done by hand. Older homes, they did the spray textures, like a spray knockdown, splatters, orange peels, popcorn ceilings. But newer homes, they do these skip trowels. Like I said, on my playlist, I have several videos on different types of textures. This is just another simple sand skip trowel. I know I made other ones, but I'm going to continue making these videos because this is what I do every day. And I'm just making these videos so you guys have them. You can watch them and see them. Maybe you'll see this job and you'll say, oh, I better hire a professional. These are not meant for you to watch it and think you're an automatic drywall taper. These are just to see the process that's involved with doing skip trowel and drywall repairs. And this is my techniques, of course. Everybody always thinks they have the best technique. This is my technique, and I am a licensed drywaller, and I work in the field by myself. So this is my technique. Keeps me busy. So literally, instead of taking my advice with a grain of salt, take my advice with a grain of silica sand. This silica sand works great. It's a good finish, and it makes a good cosmetic texture finish. So I'm just going to let you watch this video. There's a couple prompts on it, but basically just get your areas always textured up. And once you finish up, always clean your tools and always clean up your work area. It's easy to clean up as you go. Keep everything clean, especially working outside. You don't want these muds drying on you and making a mess. It gets irritating when your mud's dry on your knife. So just clean as you go. Keep everything clean and just keep texturing. Just keep going. These are basically a patio seam repairs. A couple joint repairs that I had to fix. I get called and they say, oh, it's just 25 linear foot of cracks, but here I am doing 40 or 50 linear foot. It's always double in size. But we just take care of our customers. We get the job done well. And you can see with this, it is a tedious project. And I am doing a small knife. So doing with the bigger knife, I'd cover more ground. But I just want a nice, perfect texture match. So up and down the ladder, using a small knife. It takes extra time, but it is what it is. I'm in no hurry. But hey, I hope you liked this video. Please watch it. I'm also going to be making a video on the actual repairs of these joint seams. A full length video. I just wanted to make a short video on skip troweling with sand texture. It's a Silica sand and it's a nice addition to the textures that are out there. Hey, thanks for subscribing and watching. The channel's growing and I thank you for your likes, your comments, and your subscriptions. Please share this video with your friends and family, and thank you.